Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Henry, your host for today, and as always, I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Sarah. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Henry. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here again. I'm really excited about today's topic.
Me too. Today, we're talking about something really powerful, something simple, but life-changing, and that is books. More specifically, how a book can change your mind.
Yes, we're going to talk about how reading can open your mind, help you grow, and even change the way you see the world. It's amazing how just one book can have such a big impact.
Exactly. And since this is a podcast for English learners, we're also going to give you some tips on how to use reading to improve your English, build vocabulary, and get more confident.
So, if you've ever read a book that made you stop and think, or changed the way you felt about something, this episode is for you.
And don't worry, if you're not a big reader yet, that's totally okay. We're here to guide you, give you some great book recommendations, and share a few personal stories too.
Plus, at the end of the episode, we'll give you a fun little challenge you can do at home. So stay with us.
All right, let's dive into today's topic, how a book can change your mind. So Sarah, let's start with the big question. Why do books matter? I mean, we have podcasts, videos, social media. Why are books still important?
Great question. I think books are special because they give us time to think. When we read, we're not just listening or watching. We're inside the story or the writer's mind. It's a slower, deeper experience.
Exactly. It's like books give your brain a workout, right? You're not just taking in information, you're also imagining, reflecting, and sometimes even questioning what you believe.
Right. Books can help us see things from a different perspective. For example, when you read about someone from another country or someone with a totally different life, it makes you more understanding and open-minded.
Yeah, I remember reading a book about a refugee's journey. I'd never thought about what that experience might feel like. After reading it, I was like, wow, my world just got bigger.
Books really are like windows, and sometimes like mirrors too. They show us other people's lives, but they also help us see ourselves more clearly.
Oof, that's a beautiful way to put it. I also feel like books help us grow emotionally. Like sometimes a novel helps you understand your own feelings better than a self-help book ever could.
Absolutely. And I think for language learners, books are gold. They're full of real sentences, new words, and natural expressions, and the more you read, the more comfortable you get with the language.
Yes, and not just vocabulary. Reading also helps with grammar, tone, and even pronunciation if you read out loud.
So books matter for so many reasons. They teach us, inspire us, comfort us, and they help us learn, especially a language like English.
Couldn't agree more. And honestly, sometimes a single sentence from a book stays with you for years. You don't always get that from a TikTok video.
No offense to TikTok, of course, but yeah, books go deeper, they stay with you.
All right, let's talk about that feeling when a book actually changes your mind. Coming up next, we're going to share a few books that really changed how we see the world.
And maybe they'll inspire you too.
All right, so now it's time for the juicy part. Sarah, I have to ask, what's a book that actually changed your life? Like one that really shifted the way you think?
Oh wow, there are a few, but one that really stands out for me is The Alchemist by Polly Hellhole.
Ah, yes, a classic. What about it changed your mind?
Well, I read it during a time when I was feeling really lost, unsure about my career, my goals, everything. And this book, even though it's simple, really reminded me to listen to my heart. It's all about following your dreams, trusting the journey, even when it's scary.
Yeah, that idea of a personal legend, right? Like your true purpose.
Exactly. It made me realize I was waiting for permission to live the life I wanted. After reading it, I started taking small steps toward what I really wanted, not what others expected from me.
That's powerful. It's amazing how one book can feel like it's speaking directly to you.
Totally. And the language was so simple, but the message was so deep. I think that's why it connects with so many people, even if English isn't your first language.
That's a great point. Okay, so for me, the book that really changed my mind was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Oh, that's a deep one. I've heard of it but haven't read it yet. What did it do for you?
Well, it's written by a man who survived a concentration camp during World War II. But instead of writing just about the pain, he wrote about how people find meaning in the hardest times.
Wow, that sounds emotional.
It was, but also inspiring. It made me realize that even when life is painful or difficult, we can choose how we respond. He says that between stimulus and response, there's a space, and in that space, we have the power to choose.
That's such a strong idea. So it helped you shift your mindset?
Completely, I stopped blaming everything around me and started asking, what can I learn from this, or how can I grow through this? It helped me become more calm, more patient, and honestly, more grateful.
That's incredible. It sounds like it gave you a more peaceful perspective.
Yeah, it taught me that suffering isn't always avoidable, but we can still live with purpose.
I love that. And I think for anyone learning English, reading books like that, books that go beyond just stories, can also help with emotional growth, not just language skills.
Absolutely. And here's the cool part. You don't always need to read difficult books to have a deep experience. Even a short novel or a young adult book can open your eyes in a big way.
Yes, sometimes a children's book has more wisdom than a textbook.
So true. The point is, the right book comes to you when you need it. And when it does, it can seriously change your life.
So if you're listening to this and thinking, I haven't found that book yet, don't worry. Keep reading. The right one will find you.
And we'll help you out with that too, because later in this episode, we're sharing some book recommendations for English learners. But next, we're going to talk about something fun, fiction versus nonfiction. Which one really changes your mind more?
Oh, I have opinions on this one.
All right, Sarah, let's stir the pot a little. Fiction versus nonfiction. Which one do you think is more powerful when it comes to changing someone's mind?
Ooh, okay. I love this question. Honestly, I think fiction has more power than people realize. It might be imaginary, but it teaches us about real life in deep emotional ways.
Yeah, like how a made-up story can still show us truth about love, fear, identity, all the big stuff.
Exactly. When you read a novel, you step into someone else's shoes. You feel what they feel, even if they're totally different from you. That kind of empathy, that's huge.
True. And it's more emotional, which means the message sticks. I remember reading To Kill a Mockingbird years ago. It's fiction, but it completely changed how I thought about justice and prejudice.
Yes, that's the beauty of stories. They don't just tell you something, they show you. And that helps the message stay in your heart, not just your brain.
All right, but I've got to speak up for nonfiction here too. I mean, sometimes a good nonfiction book hits you like a lightning bolt. It gives you facts, tools, and straight-up knowledge that changes how you see the world.
That's fair, and I think nonfiction is great when you want to understand a specific topic, like psychology, history, personal growth, or even science.
Right. Like Atomic Habits by James Clear. That book didn't just inspire me, it gave me real steps to change my daily habits. Super practical.
Yes, I think nonfiction speaks more to the mind while fiction often speaks to the heart.
Well said. So maybe the real answer is, it depends on what kind of change you're looking for. Emotional change, fiction, practical or mental change, nonfiction.
Totally agree. And for English learners, it's great to try both. Fiction helps with imagination, flow, and culture. Nonfiction helps with academic vocabulary, structure, and facts.
Exactly. Plus, both can build your vocabulary in different ways. Fiction is full of dialogue and everyday language. Nonfiction gives you topic-specific words and expressions.
So if you're listening and wondering, which one should I read? We say try both, mix it up. Read what excites you.
All right, coming up next, we're going to give you 5 book recommendations, some fiction, some nonfiction, that are perfect for English learners and will definitely get you thinking.
Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
All right, we've talked about books that can change your life, fiction versus nonfiction, and now it's time to get practical. Let's talk about how to read for growth.
Yes, because reading isn't just about finishing a book, it's about what you take from it. So, Henry, what's your first tip?
I'd say read with intention. Before you even open the book, ask yourself, why am I reading this? Is it to relax, to learn something, to change a habit? Knowing your goal helps you focus.
That's so true. And I'd add take notes while you read, even just underlining one sentence that makes you stop and think. That can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. I like to keep a little notebook or even use the Notes app on my phone. Sometimes I write down quotes or ideas I want to remember or talk about later.
Yes, and for English learners, that's a double win. You're improving your language skills and collecting powerful ideas.
Right. You can build vocabulary, notice sentence structure, and pick up natural expressions. But here's the key. Don't stress about understanding everything.
Oh, that's a big one. You don't need to understand every single word. Focus on the meaning, the message. If one or two words are confusing, try to guess from the context, or just move on.
Exactly. That's how native speakers read too, honestly. We don't stop for every unfamiliar word. We just flow with it.
Another thing I love to do is reflect after reading. Like, I'll finish a chapter and ask myself, what did I learn? Did anything surprise me? How does this connect to my life?
That's deep. I actually started doing that too. Sometimes I'll even journal one or two sentences after reading. It helps me remember the message better.
Yeah, because when you reflect, the book becomes part of you, not just something you read and forget.
And one more powerful method, talk about what you read. Even if it's just with a friend, in a book club, or on social media. Saying it out loud or writing about it helps you understand it more deeply.
That's why podcasts like this are fun too. We're not just reading books, we're thinking out loud about them. That's how we grow.
Exactly. So if you're listening and wondering, how do I grow through reading? Remember 1, read with purpose. 2, take notes. 3, reflect. 4, don't worry about perfection. 5, share your thoughts with others.
Boom! That's your growth guide right there. And honestly, if you do those 5 things, even just one of them, you're going to grow.
No doubt. And your English will grow too. It's a win-win.
All right, coming up next, some of our top book recommendations for English learners that can actually shift the way you think.
Stick around. We've got some gems for you. All right, folks. It's time for one of our favorite parts, book recommendations. We've got a mix of fiction and nonfiction titles that we think can really change how you think. And they're great for English learners too.
Yes, whether you're new to reading in English or already comfortable, these books are powerful and readable. Okay, Henry, hit us with your first one.
This one's a classic. The Alchemist is about a young shepherd named Santiago who follows his dream across the desert. It's easy to read, deeply symbolic, and makes you think about your purpose, your passion, and trusting your journey. Great for vocabulary, especially around dreams, travel, and philosophy.
Plus, the language is poetic but simple, perfect for intermediate learners. You've probably heard us mention this before. It's that good. It breaks down how tiny habits, done consistently, can completely change your life. Great for learning real-life vocabulary around behavior, psychology, and motivation.
And it's structured in short, clear chapters, very readable. I love this one. It's a true story about a professor and his former student having weekly conversations about life, love, and what truly matters. It's emotional, full of wisdom, and written in simple, heartfelt English.
And it's great for learners because the dialogue is very natural. You'll pick up how real conversations sound in English. This book may look like a children's story, but it's deeply philosophical and beautiful. It talks about love, loneliness, and seeing the world through fresh eyes. Short, sweet, and simple English, but full of deep meaning.
And honestly, adults get just as much from it, maybe more. All right, a little modern, bold, and funny here. This one is all about building confidence, loving yourself, and going after what you want. It's written in a conversational tone, super engaging, and full of useful everyday expressions.
Perfect for English learners who want some real talk motivation and some natural language at the same time.
And remember, it's not about reading fast, it's about reading deeply. Pick one that calls to you and go for it.
So there you go. 5 powerful books to grow your English and your mindset.
Stick around, we're almost there. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. A book can change your mind. We've covered a lot, haven't we?
Up next, we're going to wrap up today's episode with some final thoughts and simple steps you can take today to make reading part of your life.
But before we go, we've got something special for our listeners. Your practice challenge for the week.
We sure have. From why books matter to personal stories, fiction versus nonfiction, how to read for growth, and of course, those juicy book recommendations.
If you want to take it further, try saying it out loud in English, or even post it on social media and tag us. We'd love to see what you're reading.
Yes, here it is. Super simple. Choose one book from the list we gave today, or any book you like. Read just 2 pages a day this week. That's it, 2 pages. Then, after reading, write down one sentence that stood out to you. It could be a quote, a new word, or just something you felt.
Exactly. It's about building a habit little by little. And who knows, maybe the next book you read will change your life too.
And remember, reading doesn't have to be long or perfect. A few minutes a day can seriously change the way you think and the way you speak English.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow English learners. And leave us a comment. We love hearing from you.
We hope today's episode inspired you to pick up a book and see reading as a tool for both personal and language growth.
See you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on the English Learning Podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep turning those pages.